of December, when the minister issued his letter, until April 2025, did you ever have opportunity to meet with the minister and discuss these matters?
Of the PKTT?
Including PKTT?
No.
Did you meet with the minister in that period, and if so, for what purpose?
Sorry. Just be clear which minister.
Minister, it's not former. Minister Mchunu, for avoidance of doubt. Minister Mchunu, I mean.
I cannot remember when, but Minister Mchunu called myself and the head of the DPCI to a meeting. And there was a matter that he wanted to raise. It had nothing to do with the PKTT. In that meeting, I informed the minister that unfortunately I report to the Minister of Justice, and that this matter, if it had to be dealt with, can it please be dealt with by General Labia? And then I asked if I could be excused, and they carried on with the matter.
Was that the meeting of the 21st of January 2025?
I honestly can't remember the dates.
Now, you have to at least give January 25, February. Remember, I used the articles as a pointer, and the point at which PKTT was disbanded. Now, I want to know when you met with the minister after the disbandment of the PKTT. And I'm asking you whether it was on the 21st of January 2025. If you can't exactly recall, you can't suggest that it might have been in September. No.
No.
Maybe not 21st, in January 25. I'll land it there.
What I'm saying is I can't dispute your date because I can't recall the date.
Okay.
But what I'm telling you is who was at the meeting, that the meeting was about some other criminal allegation. I then indicated I'm unable to deal with it, and IDEC resorts under the Minister of Justice, and I left General Labia with the minister to deal with the matter and to finish it up. Later, General Labia did indicate that DPCI will deal with the matter.
And in that meeting, I attached the date of the 21st of January, is it your testimony to this commission that the issue of PKTT neither arose nor was discussed, whether in detail or otherwise?
Not in my presence.
Not in your presence?
I wasn't there for long.
So should a witness come before the commission to state otherwise, what would your view be? Are they misleading the commission?
Yes, I can't remember discussing the PKTT with the minister.
No, you would know definitively whether or not you did, regard being heard to your response, that the matter that the minister wanted to discuss with you concerned mainly the DPCI, and because you report to the Minister of Justice, you then excused yourself.
Yes.
So knowing...
Exposure to germs every day can make him sick. Shield him with Dettol 12-hour...
Yes, I can't remember discussing the PKTT with the minister.
No, you would know definitively whether or not you did, regard being heard to your response, that the matter that the minister wanted to discuss with you concerned mainly the DPCI, and because you report to the Minister of Justice, you then excused yourself.
Yes.
So knowing precisely what the meeting was about and circumstances under which you left the meeting, you ought to know whether or not you discussed the issue of the PKTT with the minister. If you are still unsure, then that suggests you may potentially have discussed the matter with the minister, but on a different date, which then would invite me to ask you on which date then did you have a meeting to discuss, amongst other things, the PKTT with the minister.
I recall having one meeting with the minister and his chief of staff, and then there was that second meeting that I had with General Labia. The first meeting that I had, from my recollection, the minister wanted to meet and greet, and he talked to me about IDEC. I can't remember that date. I'll have to check that date. But I can't recall talking to him about the PKTT.
Did you?
And if somebody says I did and they were there in that meeting, then they'd have to refresh my memory.
Okay. Did you discuss Medicare contract?
No.
That too did not feature on your agenda?
No.
Okay.
Because I only met him with General Labia. And afterwards, I did indicate to the National Director that she must kindly advise the Minister of Police that he is not allowed to summon me to any meetings. The only minister who's allowed to summon me to a meeting would have to be the Minister of Justice.
So in your meeting with the Minister of Police and Mr. Ngabinde, what was the topic of discussion on the day? Before you told him to never summon you again?
I recall that as a meet and greet. He wanted to know what we do at IDEC. And I know it can't only, I know I talk a lot, but it can't have been only me doing the talking. I can't recall what all topics we discussed, and that is why I'm saying if someone else was there and they could refresh my memory, I would know what I, in all likelihood, spoke about. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
I can
Honestly,
accept if you don't recall all topics.
Yes.
But I find it difficult to accept that you recall no topic, zero. At least the weather, just been Christmas or Christmas was upcoming, something.
No, I said we discussed IDEC.
Yes.
He wanted to know about IDEC, how we work, how we operate.
That's all you recall of that meeting?
And I recall that is what we talked about. I think we did talk about IDEC's relationship very briefly with the police, and I said we all got along together with the DPCI.
So to try and help us perhaps get a timeline, if memory serves me well, the minister took office around June, July 2024. You recall? Just after the elections were in 24. So I think he assumed office June, July. When do you think would have been your meet and greet meeting? Using that June, July as his date of assumption of office.
I'm guessing, and so if I'm wrong,
Yes.
please don't hold me to it. Could have been October, November.
I did this little exercise to see whether there might be validity to the narrative that ad hoc sought to engage you on, that IDEX appears to be specifically targeting these three generals. And in the absence of a bridge between the Section 27 referral and the eventual charge sheet, I would suggest to you that that could potentially lend credence to that narrative. Would you agree?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yes, please come.
Can I just ask? I mean, we always have to go back to your mandate. You don't have a self-standing mandate or jurisdiction to prosecute non-compliance with Public Finance Management Act. You don't. It always comes back to your mandate, and your mandate is in 7.1a. Can you look at 7.1a and say to us where this investigation and prosecution of General Masemola for PFMA non-compliance, where it is located, keeping in mind the discussion on day 1 and day 2 of your testimony about how you read that 7.1a.
Yes. So, Commissioner Baloy, we look at 7.1a and we look at sub A, relating to serious, high-profile or complex corruption, commercial or financial crime cases.
Yes.
And that is where it fell.
So
And-
what about
Sorry.
the failure to discipline? Remember, you've got 4 counts. So what about the failure to discipline employees? Remember, you're not accusing him of corruption.
Correct.
And you're not accusing him of collusion in the conduct of the other accused in the matter. So what in 1 capital A sub A, in fact, the discipline, count 4, which is about disciplining employees, how does it fall into that provision? And I use it as an example.
Just go back there and see what it. Sorry, Council, I'm not trying to kill the
No.
to kill the hour.
No.
I just have to find.
I think even if you tried, we have tomorrow morning.
Sorry, Commissioner Below, you referred to the charge.
If you look at count 4,
Count 4. Sorry.
yeah, and
yes.
count 4 is about failure to discipline employees. You are charging him under that section 38(1)(h), 1, 2, 3, sub 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
All of them relate to failure to discipline.
Yes.
So my question is, just looking at that one count, surely it doesn't have anything to do with 1AA if you are not accusing him of corruption.
So if I'm following the reasoning, you're taking the case as not one case, but what charges he's facing.
Because-
just so that I understand it.
Yeah, because my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is much as he has been joined to the case against the other 7 or 8, much as he has joined them, his is in fact a standalone because he's not accused of corruption. The others, it is corruption, as I understand. Him, it's purely a statutory infringement because that statute makes certain conduct an offense. But that offense, that conduct in this case, it's not corruption. Your charge sheet on all counts, no way does it implicate him in the conduct of the others, and it doesn't implicate him specifically in corruption, which I would understand because how it would have triggered your 1A. So it's standalone statutory offenses. And we have to deal with them as standalone because that's how you have chosen to charge him. The fact that he appears incomprehensibly, in my view, I must say, that he's appearing with people who are accused of corruption, including Mr. Matala and the boss of Medicare 24, notwithstanding that, which I don't understand, it doesn't make him, at least in my view, it doesn't make his charges to be part of the grander scheme.
I understand the argument. I speak under correction. I think it is something he has raised with the prosecution team so that he be removed from that bigger matter and that he face his charges as he should on that.
As a standalone?
As a standalone.
Okay.
I speak under correction, but I'll get that confirmation as well this evening.
But as I understand it, Commissioner Baloyi is asking you a different question. That different question being why General Masemola is an accused, bearing in mind the provisions of Section 7, capital letter, yes. And for that matter, we could even go back to 27, the referral. So that's the question you are being asked, not the one about joining several accused in one matter or the same proceedings. We are going to be engaging you on the latter, by the way. Okay. Yeah. Please answer Commissioner Baloyi's question then.
Commissioner Baloyi,
Yes.
I read it as follows. I can already see the chair there. Sorry. When I'm tired, I have to have a witty moment just to break my... I see that A, relating to serious, high-profile or complex corruption which doesn't deal with him. Commercial or financial crime cases. The award of the tender falls within the commercial or financial crime cases. And then to the point that you make, Commissioner Baloy, relating to, under paragraph C, additional related statutory offences or categories of statutory offences, to wit, under 4, the Public Finance Management Act.
Yeah. But you see, you must go back to the mandate of IDEC. I think, why was IDEC created? Otherwise, you are going to be investigating exactly what the SAPS is investigating. Then there's no difference between you and the SAPS. So we have to read it, to read your 7.1a, capital 1a, with in mind what is in fact the purpose of IDEC, why it was created. And sub A, small letter A, tells us serious, high-profile or complex corruption, commercial or financial crime cases. You surely are not saying IDEC has the jurisdiction to investigate and prosecute all and every financial crimes. You're not saying that.
No.
Yeah, you're not saying that, because the interpretation you're giving, it means all financial crimes you get to investigate. So we have to go back to, there has to be a link of corruption, it seems to me, because that's the very mandate of IDEC, and a proper reading must lead us there. And remember the sections in PFMA, they're really not concerned about whether it's a commercial crime or whether it's a financial crime. They don't even define it as that. They simply say, if you have failed to discipline, or if as a result of gross negligence you have caused a fruitless and wasteful expenditure on the other counts, so you have to stick to the letter, otherwise you're extending your powers beyond the PFMA and beyond your act. So it's not standalone, and your charge sheet is standalone. You've looked at the act, and you've said he failed to discipline his subordinates, and then we charge him. We have jurisdiction over him. That cannot be what the purpose of this. It can be.
But I think if we're reading the individual charges, I hear you, Commissioner Baloy.
Yes.
But we mustn't lose sight of, and I'm not saying that you have, I'm saying let's go back to the counts. Count 1 says, in your capacity as the accounting officer of the South African Police Services, you unlawfully, willfully, and in a grossly negligent way fail to comply with the PFMA regulations, in that you fail to take effective and appropriate steps to prevent unauthorized, irregular, and/or fruitless expenditure and wasteful expenditure and losses resulting from criminal conduct regarding the tender that was awarded to Medicare 24.
Yes.
So already there, we are drawing him into the realm of there was unlawful conduct, there's unlawful criminal conduct, and as the accounting officer, you have a PFMA obligation to stop that awarding.
Yes.
And
you see, I deliberately chose not to use count 1 as an example, because you immediately run into the PFMA definitions of what is a fruitless and wasteful expenditure, what is an irregular expenditure, what is an unauthorized expenditure. And I want to suggest to you that none of that applies here by definition of PFMA. If you look, and I know it's late in the afternoon, I'm happy to come back to it tomorrow. But if you look at the definitions, right, at the definitions, whatever happened with this contract as it relates to General Masemola, there is no fruitless and wasteful expenditure that you are alleging, at least in the charge sheet. There is no unauthorized expenditure. We know definition of unauthorized expenditure. It's budgeted for, and you go to the books, you're not saying they spent money that was not budgeted for. So I chose not to use that and to take the easier example to only make the point that it is a statutory contravention, simple. That's what it is. And not to say he can't be charged with that, but the discussion is, but what does IDEC have to do with that? How does its mandate get triggered? That's my difficulty. Certainly not disciplinary action. Count 4, you could never justify it. Even if you could justify the other 3, count 4 you could never. But my view is, even the others, they do not belong under IDEC's mandate. I'll leave it there, and if you want to deal with it tomorrow after you have considered it, I'm happy for us to leave it there, if you want to consider it overnight.
Advocate Johnson, just to add to what Commissioner Baloyi as to the need, before you get to the PFMA or the other statutes itemized under paragraph C of the section, before you get there, there must be a charge or charges relating to some of the offenses listed above, for example, your corruption and so on. So Commissioner Baloyi makes that point. I will say, look at C, look at the use of additional in C, in paragraph C of the subsection. Do you see additional there?
Yes.
Surely, if you want to rely on the provisions of the acts referred to under paragraph C, you must already have some other, let me loosely call them main offenses as it were. And then the offenses under these statutes should be additional to those. Do you get the point?
I get it.
Otherwise, you would render additional in paragraph C meaningless. Do you get the point? So the question stands, but you may respond to it tomorrow. The question stands as to what the PFMA offenses you charged General Masemola with, what those PFMA offenses were additional to. Because if you are not able to show that they are additional to something, then he may well have been charged improperly. Perhaps just for clarity, let me state this. We are not engaging in this exercise to try to show that all of the people we have dealt with during this engagement with you are not guilty of the offenses charged. That's not the purpose. But it's just that in practical terms, it's very difficult to extricate getting into the offenses themselves, extricate that from what we are about, which is about IDEC's motives. Did IDEC properly exercise the powers vesting in it, or did it do so with improper motives? So it gets difficult not to get into the offenses themselves.
I understand.
So tomorrow morning when we start, please give us your own understanding of additional in paragraph C of the subsection. If you agree with us, then you must show us what the PFMA offenses were additional to.
Yes.
For you to have been able to charge under paragraph C of the subsection.